All right, I took the mic stand off. I think I'm liking this a little bit better.
Oh boy. All right. You ready, Jordan?
Yeah, let's get it.
Cool. I'm gonna clap.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. We're locked. All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of Forum Blues, powered by the Alithio Network. I'm your guy, Rudy Hodgson, alongside Jordan Bacani. Very excited to get you guys all up to speed, all things LA Kings, all the time. Jordan, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Let's talk to the people a little bit about who we are, what we're going to be talking about this season, and what they can expect from us two knuckleheads from the West Coast. We'll start with you, Jordan. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your favorite Kings memory, and why the hell you wanted to talk about the Kings in a podcast.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Jordan Bacani, born and raised in Pico Rivera, California. I grew up playing hockey for as long as I could remember. Teammates with Rudy for most of my life, most of my hockey career. So I've been a diehard Kings fan since I started watching hockey. My parents used to have season tickets, so we used to go to a lot of games. My favorite Kings memory, I'd probably say, I'll go with my earliest one. I'd been like 4 or 5 years old. My dad took me to my first game. I don't remember much about the game other than covering my ears for the goal horn because I thought it was too loud, and my dad buying me like a Bailey stuffed animal. But from then on, it was just hockey the rest of my life, and yeah,
so if you were 5'6", that had to be the 2006-07 season. Do you remember maybe any players you were watching? I can name a couple off the top of my head.
Honestly, no idea. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew it was cold in there. It was loud, and I had a good time.
Especially cold in the West Coast, eh? Well, I'll take over from there, Jord. My name is Rudy Hodgson. I'm also from Pasadena, Monrovia, California, if we want to get to the nitty gritty. And I'm now living in the Windy City. I'm in Chicago, which is where the Alithio Network is based. So my earliest Kings memory is not exactly my favorite, but my earliest, according to my folks, the first hockey game that I sat down and watched was the Frenzy on Figueroa. And those diehards that are listening to this, you know what the Frenzy on Figueroa is. 3-0 comeback against the Maple Leafs. Jesus. There we go. Showing our stripes early. The Red Wings, in the 2001 Stanley Cup playoffs, they would go on to take them out. But my favorite Kings memory, outside of being in the building for Game 6 in 2012, is actually Game 2 of the second round in 2013 when Jeff Carter tied the game in the last minute. Kings had a 5-on-3, and then like 13, 14 seconds later, Trevor Lewis, who we will get into, by the way, later in the show, scored the game-winning goal to give the Kings a little more buffer in the series. So, Jordan, let's explain to the people why Forum Blues. So the legend has it, former Kings owner Jack Kent Cooke loved purple and gold, didn't like the word purple, and the Kings obviously were at the time playing at the Fabulous Forum, so he decided to name his shade of purple Forum Blue. And you probably know the rest. The Kings steered away from that in '88 when Gretzky came to LA, and I'm sure with the vision of Jack Kent Cooke, he imagined that in 2024, the Los Angeles Kings would be referring to Forum Blue not as a jersey color, but two idiots on a podcast talking about the Los Angeles Kings. So enough about us and enough about the show. Let's get you guys the content you came here to consume. Kings 2024-25 right around the corner, Jordan. A couple of moves being made. Most notably, and we'll get into Quentin Byfield in a little bit, but the guys that weren't on the roster last season that are here now. Warren Foegele, Joel Edmondson, 3 years, $3.5 billion for Foegele. Edmondson, 4 years, 3.8. Ugh. What do you make of those?
The Foegele signing, we can talk. Let's go with the good first. The Foegele signing, I'm actually a big fan of. Watching Warren Foegele, on Edmonton. We had to watch Edmonton a lot the last few years here.
Unfortunately.
But watching him, I think he does have that nitty gritty style that fits in really well with the way the Kings play hockey. I think he plays a Kings brand of hockey. I think he'll bring a lot in terms of grit to our team. And then, yeah, what do you think about the Foegele signing?
I don't know if this is an unfair thing to say. We haven't seen him in black and white quite yet, but in your opinion, do you feel like this is an elevated Blake Lizotte? Just a gritty guy that's gonna find the puck and not afraid to play in the corners. And I don't really know what we expect point wise out of Foegele. I'm expecting I think 35 to 40 points would be fantastic. But what do you think of that comparison? He's for lack of better terms, a version of him but on steroids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't really think about before you brought it up, but I do like the Lizotte comp. I think you got obviously a bigger guy, but same play style, point production wise, you're looking at about the same, maybe more. I think that 30 to 40 range is what I would put Foegele into for my expectations. But yeah, that's kind of I think what we're looking at to a T.
Foegele, a strong player. I really like him. I think he can play on the top six. We'll get into lineup projections in just a moment, but he is definitely one of those players that we're going to be saying his name quite a bit this year. He could be the Kings X factor, and I'm not comparing the two at all. So let's not get this twisted. But 37 and 97 when they're whizzing by back and forth really fast. Sometimes the people you play with, you kind of emulate those players. So Foegele, sometimes I saw shades of McDavid. Again, not comparing the two at all. But the way he skates, the way he hustles is very reminiscent of 97, just, that stride, and he's quick.
Yeah, no, he's a fast guy. He's like, I know we talked about it before earlier in the offseason. There were times during the playoffs where you'd be like, oh, like McDavid has the puck again, and you just take a second glance, you're like, oh, that's Warren Foegele, not Connor McDavid. So I think the comparison, it's a very, not a comparison to say, it's because that'd be one hell of a stretch there. But hey, as far as the speed, as far as the speed goes, and I think he's one of those guys that kind of, like you said, plays up to whoever he's paired with. So I do hope to see him on the top six here. And yeah, like you said, we'll talk about that in a second here.
And now let's go to the maybe not so good. Joel Edmondson, 4 years, $3.8 million. The Kings do get that left-handed defenseman that they were looking for. It probably wasn't the one fans were expecting, but it's the one the fans got. What do you take of that signing? Is it a little too much? Are we going to give it a little bit of a grace period, or is this really not the one you wanted?
I mean, obviously, you look at the number and you're just like, damn, like, that's quite a bit of cap space you got going there for an older D-man, a little bit more of an injury-prone D-man. Like we said, like, you like the veteran presence, you like the size, but outside of that, your questions are, is he going to stay healthy? And, what does he add to the team?
Yeah, I do like him as the fifth, sixth defenseman option. It's kind of like when the Kings got Edler in the twilight of his career, and he wasn't going to be a superstar, but he's serviceable. And I think Edmondson is going to be serviceable, but are we going to be okay with serviceable at a cap hit for 4 years at $3.8 million? I personally don't think so. I don't really like being too critical of the LA Kings during the offseason, but I do feel like this move a little bit more generous on the player end.
Yeah, I think the cost is a little bit high. You can hope for the best, but that'd probably be my least favorite offseason move so far.
More than losing Matt Roy?
I mean, yeah, that's when you talk about our defense as a whole, I think that's the biggest hit. But we got to move forward from that, where we didn't really have the money to lock Matt Roy up. So moving forward, I think that you're looking at who's coming into the team, and Edmondson is not my least favorite. My least favorite addition.
So now I'm curious because of what you just said. how much pressure are we putting on the kids, Clark and Spence, who just re-signed, got an extension, to fill that gap of Matt Roy? If the Kings are, and all things suggest, they're still in win now mode, how much of a factor are these two youngsters going to play?
I think there's a lot of pressure on. I think Jordan Spence more than Brant Clark, because Clark's coming into what's going to be, hopefully, depending on how training camp goes, his first full NHL season.
Right.
You're looking at Jordan Spence, who has quite a handful more NHL experience, and who's going to be asked to fill a lot more minutes, log a lot more ice time against better players. And I think there is quite a bit of pressure on Jordan Spence. Looking at Brant Clark, you hope the production is there, but you just want to see the kid get his feet set. You want to see him play against NHL talent consistently. You want to see him skate with NHL talent, and you want to see the mistakes held to a minimum. You got a very offensive-minded defenseman in Brant Clark, whose game played really well at the junior level, at the international level with Canada. Played very well with the Reign. We got to watch him quite a few times down there, but it's a completely different game at the NHL level. It's night and day, AHL to NHL. So hopefully he can just get his feet wet, get in there and play solid. That's what I'm looking for out of Brant Clark.
Speaking of AHL to NHL, how about this one? I think you're going to like this one a little bit more. The both of us being former netminders, Eric Portillo gets his ELC at long last. 23 years young, got his first season under his belt with the Reign. How about this? 918 save percentage, 2 no-nos in 39 games. Absolutely dominant. Had a marvelous first season, I thought, with the Reign. A lot of people wondering if he's going to be the one to take over when Kemper's deal runs out, but don't look too far ahead, because here comes Carter George. I mean, the Kings all of a sudden go from having zero goaltending depth to being right up there with the rest of the league as far as what to look forward to between the pipes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to there. You didn't even, mention Hampton Slakinski, who we got, the previous draft, who I believe he won, I think, goaltender of the year in whichever league he was. Yeah. So you got, three young guys that, can fill the hole of, ever since we lost Jonathan Quick, who was our true number one. I don't really think we've had one yet. So you got 3 young prospects who are very, very exciting. I mean, we could talk about goalies all day.
Yeah, I mean, and so let's kind of sum it up and put it in a pretty bow this way. What does that depth chart look like right now? You think Carter George probably benefits a little bit more out of going back to junior for one more year? I should probably say, Tass, keep me honest here. I think he did sign an ELC, so maybe he goes to the ECHL and Struck gets the call up to the A, because Portillo's starting in Ontario until somebody outplays him.
Yeah, he'll be the number one.
So, I mean, for you, put yourself 4 or 5 years into the future. Do you want the local boy, or maybe not the local boy, but the Jonathan Quick fan, LA Kings fan, and Carter George, who knows what it means to win a Stanley Cup in LA, or at least knows what it means to wear the Chevy logo on his chest? And I know Kings PR doesn't like the Chevy logo reference, so I apologize in advance, but let's call it like we see it. Or do you trust Eric Portillo a little bit more?
I'm hoping the future is in Portillo's hands. I think George is going to be a little further along the line. You got Portillo, who's 23 years old. Carter George is obviously coming out of juniors, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So I think there's 2 different windows of Kings hockey there, bearing that we can develop, appropriately.
Goaltending very much not an issue for LA, at least in the future. Right now, we'll see. I mean, Darcy Kemper can give us some good minutes. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Last thing I wanted to talk to you before we get into the rookie face-off is Quinton Byfield. The Kings lock up their guy. And I think this is an excellent deal from Rob Blake. 5 years, $6.25 million a year. Byfield still 21, can barely pick up a pop, ends up getting $6.25 a season in what was a career year Everyone's hoping he takes another step, and why wouldn't he? He has all the talent in the world. This is the guy that's going to get the keys to the castle after Anze Kopitar retires. What do you think of that deal for number 55?
I love it. I saw the signing, I saw the number and the term. I think it's a great, you know, prove it. You wouldn't call it a bridge deal. It's a little bit longer than what a bridge deal would be.
I would agree.
But it's a great prove it contract for Quinton Byfield. It's, you know, you've performed, you've developed at a pace that we like. Here's some money and let's hope to keep it going. You know, he obviously had a career year, some very, very exciting plays. I was at the game against Columbus for the goal that he had, just absolutely walking Zach Werenski and on one hand on the stick and then finishing. Like you couldn't pay me to imitate the noise that came out of my mouth when that goal went in. But so
boy, Jordan, way to break into the show.
Quinton Byfield, obviously a very young, exciting player. He has the size. I'm hoping, you know, he can put on a little bit. I mean, I think last year from the offseason coming into last season, he looked a lot stronger on his skates, a lot more comfortable.
I agree.
But I think the biggest thing for me was the strength, because the frame was there. He just looked, you know, a little lanky, a little, I don't want to say soft, but, you know.
He was 19, 20 at the time, right? He was young. You know, you still have to develop that stuff.
Yeah, so just a kid coming into the league, but he looked a little bit like, I think the way I put it was he looked like Bambi out there, I think the season before last. But last season very impressed me a lot with the strength, the confidence. You know, he wasn't looking to get rid of the puck right when he got it versus the season before last. That's what I saw. Every play was okay. Like, you know, I have veteran guys that I can depend on out there. Let me get them the puck. But this year he was a little bit more assertive, a little bit more dominant with the puck. And I think if he can carry that into next year, which I think he will, we can see, like you said, another step forward, which all Kings fans are hoping for from, you know, a former top 3 pick there.
It's got to be refreshing, Jordan, as a Kings fan. I can speak for myself. I think it is, to see a prospect not only show flashes, but show them more and more consistently. And what we're getting out of Byfield is what we were kind of hoping we would get with Turcotte, and we could still very much see it with Turcotte. More on him in a little bit. But he is one of those guys. He's a game breaker. If he really, really dials it in, and all signs lead to that he will, he can absolutely be a game breaker. I wanted to mention this because I think it serves an agenda that I've been trying to prove for a couple years, and how quickly Kings fans forget. Byfield, third Kings player in the last 20 years to record 20 goals in a season at age 21 or younger. Without looking at our cheat sheet, Jordan, can you name the other two?
Oh God, run that stat by me one more time.
Third Kings player in the last 20 years to record 20 goals in a season before before the age of 21.
Oh man,
Will it help if I give you the years?
Kopitar, one of them.
Attaboy. Who's the other one?
I don't know. I don't even have a guess on that one.
Come on. You got it. It's right there. Think 2003.
I was 3 years old, so let's see.
Who do you remember when you were just a wee lad in Pico Rivera?
Oh man. Think back to everyone that I remember from those years was not very good. I mean, best player is probably like, is it Fro?
It is Fro. It absolutely is Alexander Frolov, who I will defend to the grave. I think he's one of the most important Los Angeles Kings players of all time. Scorching hot take to a couple people.
Very, very hot take.
I think he was an important piece of the puzzle, and it's a shame that he didn't get to stay until 2012. He missed it by, I want to say, a year and a half, 2 years. The reason why I bring that up, though, is I'm not going to go as far as to say elite company because Fro is on that list, but Anze Kopitar, I mean, he could very easily be a carbon copy of what Kopitar was in those mid-2000s to the Kings, where, you know, the Kings are in better circumstances now because they have more pieces around Byfield immediately. I mean, you're looking at guys like Fiala, Fogle, obviously, and I mean, that top line, Kempe and Laferriere, they are much better than the team Alexander Frolov had in front of him. even though there were some interesting characters. Like here's a blast from the past. Does anybody remember Joe Corvo? Exactly.
The defenseman.
Yeah, those are the guys that Fro had around him. So naturally, Byfield in much safer hands going into 24-25. And Q, if you are listening, we are rooting for you, pal. Please bring Lord Stanley back to SoCal. Now, let's talk about the rookie faceoff. At the time that we're recording this, the Kings are still playing the Anaheim Ducks. If someone can give me a score update, that would be marvelous. Last I saw, they were up 1-0. But the Kings have yet to win a game in the rookie faceoff. Do not hit the panic button quite yet, Kings fans. The kids are all right. We've seen flashes of brilliance and Brant Clark playing in the rookie faceoff. Some people wondering as to why, but I personally don't mind it. I mean, get the kids some minutes early.
Yeah. You look at Brant playing in that rookie faceoff. They did the same thing back there with Jordan Spence, who played in a rookie faceoff after having some NHL experience. Quinton Byfield getting some NHL experience was in the playoffs and then going back to the rookie faceoff, I believe. So I think I don't know if they're just kind of following the trends. Thinking about it from a hockey player perspective, I like the idea of, having some guys in the locker room that have, had their cup of coffee, AHL, NHL experience, to give those guys some who just got drafted this is their first taste of pro hockey. Like we're in the middle of the tail end of the offseason here, and they're coming off a draft, and this is their first experience at playing with and against, other pro players. They're coming guys who were at the top of their league in whatever junior league, college they were coming to play with, the best of the best. And I think having a guy like Brant Clark there, you saw Clark and Pinelli on the Kings post. Pinelli had the C, Clark had the A.
That's right.
So it's weird to see in the official game jerseys, them having letters on their chest, but you got to think about it. They are the leaders of that room, and it gives the younger guys a good base to lean back on.
I agree, and I echo your sentiment on Clark playing. I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with giving the kid some time. I do think he's going to take a step forward this year. I'm sure of it. But that being said, there are a lot of promising young talent on that team that I think are making name for themselves. And one person that's surprised me in particular, who's made a little bit of an impact already, was Liam Greentree. Now, you would expect in a rookie faceoff for one of the first round picks to maybe impress a little bit, but I think he actually elevated his game quite a bit in the offseason, or during the summer, I should say. No offseason really for him. And for those who don't know, 26th overall pick for the Kings in 2024, played at Windsor, had a career high with 36 goals. Just after briefly watching a couple of those games, I mean, he seemed to be the X factor for LA. I mean, he played confidently. He showed the traits that I wanted to see out of a rookie in a showcase like that. What'd you make of the youngster?
Yeah, I thought Greentree is one of those guys who, he has the size, and like we talked about with Byfield, you want to see guys play to their size, and obviously you got Liam playing there against guys his age, guys maybe like a little bit older, a little bit younger, but it's guys his age, but he's using his size to his advantage, and that's what you want to see out of a guy that big. You had him on the line there. I'm not sure the other linemate was, but you had Atu Yamson.
Yeah,
I did like what I saw from that kid. I think he's another exciting prospect that we can talk about. But yeah, Greentree, you saw him, no timidness in his game, just going out there and using his body, getting in the areas that you need to get to have success in the NHL. And I think that his game's going to translate really well, and you just hope to see him further develop as the years go on. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, but we'll be patient with our Kings prospects.
Greentree recorded his first of the rookie showcase in that overtime loss against the Utah Hockey Club.
They are currently winning the game 1-0 with 6.5 minutes to go. Killing a penalty.
There we go.
Do you have that for those at home? That's Tassos, our producer for the day. Would you happen to know who's starting in goal today?
It was Carter George.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, it was Carter George.
Probably split, eh? Probably him.
I was watching earlier during the end of the first period. I saw Carter George in net, made some good saves, looked pretty comfortable out there. So I'm not sure how if they're splitting that one, but I know it's the last game of the tournament, so we'll see.
Carter George, I believe in you, brother. Please. You can't wear 32, but you can wear 33 anytime. Please follow the footsteps of Johnny Quick.
He was wearing 40 out there. I wasn't really sure how I felt about
that. Oh, God. Jump scare. Oh, man. That was a different time. And I was a trigger warning. I was a Cal Peterson truther. But I told Tassis on his show not too long ago. When was the last time you saw a right-handed goaltender or a full right goalie find success in the NHL?
I got one for you.
Huh?
I said I got one for you.
I got one for you too. Steve Mason's a good one, but I think the best is Grant Fuhr.
Yeah. It's really far back there. It's really far back there, but yeah. Real success, real like on paper statistics and award success. Yeah, you got to go back that far.
Yeah, I mean it's more of a rarity. I'm not criticizing full right goalies. I mean, if you want to catch with your right hand, I mean, have fun with Connor McDavid on his strong side. But
Jose Theodore too should throw out there.
I actually don't mind Josie. I actually thought Theo was pretty solid.
Ducks also tied the game, so we jinxed it.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Well, maybe we shouldn't talk about the games in progress anymore. Maybe we'll ban ourselves from talking about games in progress.
So Kings fans, no live podcasts when the Kings are playing is what I just heard. I think we just got Friday the 13th in our first show.
Yeah, that wasn't the best thing that could have happened.
Who scored for Anaheim, Tass? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I was thinking about Jose Theodore.
It does honestly, it doesn't matter because no matter if it's in the rookie face-off, if it's in preseason, regular season, even if it's a summer skate in El Segundo, I will never, ever root for the Anaheim Ducks. I will always want the Kings to come out on top. I remember actually a preseason game, really quickly, super crazy tangent. I think it was 14 or 15, 13, 14, 15, one of those seasons. The Kings played a preseason game in Anaheim, and they beat them 5-0. And I left the Honda Center and mean mugged every single Ducks fan that I saw as if I was sending them a warning that the Kings were going to, I'm going to say it, kick their ass all season long. And how about that in 14? Took you guys down in 7. But yeah, anyways. Kings
was it the last time the Ducks were when was the last time the Ducks made the playoffs? And was it that year? Was it that year?
No, not 14, because they made it to the Western Conference Final in 15. Then they lost to Chicago. And I think the next year, 17, they lost to. I know a lot about the Ducks for someone that hates them so much.
2018 was the last time they made the playoffs.
And remind me, was 2017 the year they got smoked by Nashville? Was that in 6? I think 5 or 6.
I think so. I'll check.
Anyways, Anaheim.
So yeah, I have a totally different take on you than that on the Ducks, because like watching the freeway face-off the last couple of years, and just kind of for the most part the Kings dominating it. It's like as heated of a rivalry as it once was. I want to see that fire again. So I want the Ducks to be at least a little better, because like it's not as fun watching the Kings beat a team that's not in contention.
I disagree.
In the same division. I don't know,
disagree.
man. I like the fire. I get battle.
I get a joy out of watching the Kings destroy Anaheim every single time. It's a release that I wish I could emulate in my day-to-day life when the Kings beat the Ducks the way they have been in years past. But man, we got off the rails there. Let's bring it right back. Rookie face-off. Kings looking for their first win. They had it just a couple moments ago. Obviously, they're tied at 1 apiece. First game, they got blanked by Vegas, 1-0. Second game, obviously, we touched on that briefly, a 4-3 overtime loss. Greentree gets his first. You were really high on Atu Yamson, who's playing on that first line. That first line looking real nice. Very, very deadly.
Was it Pinelli? Pinelli was up there?
Pinelli, Yamson, and Greentree. I mean, if you're a Kings fan, if you follow the Kings the way we do, that is a line to get excited about. Now, they're not going to be instant contributors, but look for them on the reign in the next couple of years, and they will give you something to be excited about.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think Pinelli was one of those guys that I had my eye on last year whenever I got the chance to drive out to Ontario, go to rain games. Um, I hoped for a little bit more out of him, but seeing him out there now, a little more confident, you love to see it because he's not a a very very stocky guy, not a very big guy, but he's a guy with a lot of skill. And I don't think last year he really was able to incorporate that skill into I guess the AHL pace of play, the AHL size. So I'm hoping that one more year under his belt, he'll come in with a little more confidence and show the game he's showing right now in the season.
Jordan, talk to me a little bit about the new uniforms. What do you take of our new branding, as the folks at the top would say, the new branding of the Los Angeles Kings? I say logo and jerseys, but I understand where they
call it a
from.
rebrand. Nice
Yeah, the rebrand.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
What do you take of this rebrand? Because those new uniforms, albeit at TPSC, look fantastic.
Yeah. I think they look great, but I mean, we can start by saying it wasn't the colors we were hoping for, right? I mean, but
the name of the show.
Yep. But I think it's safe to say that the fan base is the majority of the fan base. You can't please everyone, and obviously the Kings weren't aiming to do that. They decided to go with what they were comfortable with, which they gave us flashes of it with the jerseys they've been putting out, the alternates they've been putting out. But I think the color scheme, it's one that we've seen for a while. But you got the logo change. The logo is a bit beefy for my liking. It's a bit large, but because seeing them on the ice for the first time this weekend, I was really, really pleased. What's your favorite one? I like the. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
I think because we haven't seen the black one in a long time, I prefer the black one. And they have gone on record, and if you listen to all the Kings Men podcasts, I know I do, love the program. Yeah. The Kings are not ruling out bringing back Forum Blue and Gold in the future. So, I mean, they will satisfy us down the road. But in the meantime, for a primary and secondary uniform, the Kings drastically upgraded, in my opinion. And I really do like the black jersey. And I hate to sound like a sellout, but I actually think Mercury Insurance for a jersey sponsor is kind of a good look. I kind of like the way it looks. And it's way, way better than some of these other teams like
Washington.
Washington TikTok.
Oh, that's a bad one, man.
And then I think Boston's away jersey is like TD or Ameritrade or something. It's green. It's on the shoulder. Yeah. It looks brutal. All things considered, the Kings, I think, are doing it right. The jerseys look great. I agree that the logo's maybe a little too beefy, but I mean, it's not a deal breaker. It looks fantastic. Yeah. I was worried about the stripe.
The belly stripe, the white one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I thought in the videos, like the promotional videos, I thought it looked large, like very, very large. But seeing them on the ice, I actually think it's going to look great on TV, which is ultimately what they were probably going for. Yeah. Because the jerseys are going to sell anyways. It's a matter of making them look good commercially. And the Kings have done exactly that. A huge credit to the Kings team. I think the rebrand was fantastic. The only team that we're really competing with was Anaheim. And I think Anaheim, by bringing back the old logo, kind of maybe get a little bit of an edge there because it's beautiful. But the Kings did it right. The Kings did this one right.
Yeah, they did a great job, and I think the two kits for the season, I think that's all Fanatics allotted for the teams this year. Right. I think that's what I heard. But yeah, hopefully down the line we'll see the Forum Blue and Gold and nice little alternate.
If they bring back the Forum Blue and Gold, do you want them to use that secondary crown? Because I think I'm not, beggars can't be choosers. But if the Kings made that crown their primary logo, good God, would that have been something?
That crown is fantastic. And like to see it to see it blown up on a black and white jersey, I think would be another level.
Oh my
I think
God.
that's I think that's a missed opportunity, but we're not the team that designs those.
If the Kings get an outdoor game, surely that has to be the logo that goes on it, right?
Hopefully. I mean, yeah, that crown in black and white would just be, something to see. But I don't know. Am I the only one that misses the old crown too? Like the 2007, 2000? Yeah.
That is my Kings logo. When I think of the Los Angeles Kings, I think of that logo. But that's also because I fell in love with the Kings at very formative years of my childhood. So naturally, you gravitate towards that original, which is why, I think you and I are on the same page. We gravitate towards that coat of arms logo as well, right? I mean,
yeah,
that purple jersey from 2002.
Yeah, I believe so. And we had a fact check here, but somewhere in those earlier 2000 years.
That logo is like they'll never bring it back. It was really a logo of its time, but it was fantastic. Like the little lion with sunglasses.
The glasses with the sunglasses.
Well, that's the most LA thing I've ever seen, and I love it. I love the quirkiness of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crown is very nice. And on the topic of jerseys, the Kings did announce a new jersey patch sponsor for the white jersey, Iron Bow, the preferred IT solutions provider of the LA Kings and AEG. That's the Kings parent company.
Is that what it is? IT?
It is an IT company.
Okay. I thought the logo looked nice. I hate jersey sponsors, but that is one I will not complain about at all.
Well, I think that's what kind of what I was alluding to a little bit earlier. The Kings did a really good job of letting the jersey speak and not letting the jersey sponsor be super loud.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that was kind of the case with the American Express helmets, but like every team is doing it. Every team is going to continue to do it. It's not long before like pants are sponsored.
Please no. Please don't make it the European Hockey League.
I hear you, brother. Cash is green. And if we want the salary cap to increase, that's the kind of stuff that we're going to have to get used to. I'm sorry, Kings fans. I don't like it either.
Could you imagine having to put sponsors on your goalie pads? Coming from a goalie to another goalie, I'd be devastated.
Man. Oh, man. And you know what? I don't think... All right, you opened a can of worms. Now you have to reap what I have to say. The Kings historically have not had great goalie pad designs. I think the only one that really stands out is Quick's 2012 set. That V4 graphic. Oh my God. Very nice.
Iconic set.
You know who's got or had really good setups down in the minors?
No. Was it? No,
Villalta.
I didn't really see much. Yeah, Villalta he did those. What did he wear?
He used the 2000s crown, like as the outline, but he like filled it in black and the outline was silver. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, because I saw him on the ice. He's got good style. It just like from a goalie perspective, like he's just got good style. I saw him in the Roadrunners uniform with just a 6 set on too. But yeah, I haven't really seen much creativity, I guess we'll go with from some of the Kings netminders.
Let's bring it right back on track and wrap things up with our projected lineup. Shall we? I'll let you kick us off. If you're seeing this on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, we'll put up the little animations so that you know who we're talking about. But Jordan, I'm going to let you kick us off with what your projected lineup is going to be. Let's go line by line. We'll go back and forth, you and I. What's your first line look like, brother?
I got Kopitar with Laugh, Alex Laferriere, and Kempe.
Okay, I do too. And I think that has to be the first line going into game one of preseason and the regular season. I think Laugh is going to take a step this year. I thought he was fantastic his rookie season. Did not expect him to come out of the woodwork and be what he was, and yet he impressed. Kempe, Kopitar, self-explanatory. What do you see about he recently changed his number too, 14?
Laugh, I think it was 14.
I think he was 14. Taz, keep me honest, but I think Laferriere switched to 14. If I'm wrong, please, like I said, keep me honest. But that first line, what do you think of Laferriere? What do you think of what he's going to give to the Kings in 24-25?
So Laferriere is an interesting one for me because, he was coming out of training camp last year, shocked, I think, every Kings fan.
Yeah.
getting the time that he did, getting a spot on the roster to start the season was, a huge surprise for a lot of Kings fans who had never even heard of this kid's name before, right? But I think he's another one of those guys that skates hard, gets in the areas and makes plays. I do think my one complaint about him, I guess last year, was I feel like he was one of those guys where like whichever line he was on, he was a little bit invisible. But those guys that make the right play all the time can tend to be that way. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of him and notice a little bit more of him this year. But I do think the speed that he brings to that line is going to be a big X factor here in this upcoming season.
What's that second line look like?
Let's see. I got
LaFerriere is 14, by the way.
Attaboy.
14. There we go. We got
batting
it.
1,000 this year, Jordan. Starting the season off 1-0-0. Playing the parade.
I hope we didn't fully jinx the game, and I hope we went on to win. Anyway, back to the lineup. Line number 2, I got Byfield in the center. I think along with many other Kings fans' thought process too, that they're going to have him make that move full time this year. I hope.
I hope so too.
So Byfield in the center with Fiala and Fogle on the wings. So we talked about Fogle in the top 6. That's where I got him.
We are aligned so far. I also have Byfield, Fiala, Fogle. Folks, we don't compare notes. That just happened. I think Byfield's going to take a step, but I do see a world, and don't hit the panic button when I say this. I do see a world where Byfield does move up to that first line, either in place of Kempe. Maybe kind of, yeah. I don't really know. I should say, because Kempe can also play the center role, but I don't really want him to.
I don't see him moving off that center position this year.
I don't think so either. But there is a world where Kopitar, because those two, Byfield and Kopitar together, were dynamite. And Byfield and Kempe as well, there were flashes of brilliance. I mean, those two had a lot of chemistry together. I could see a world where I don't think they'll bump Kopitar to the second line role, but I could very much see a world where Byfield does come up to play with Kopitar and Kempe, say in a pinch, maybe as the extra attacker. But I do see that being a thing. But Fiala, Byfield, Fogle, I agree. I think Fogle is going to be that chippy, nasty player that we need him to be, but also maybe a little bit of a point producer. And I think that's kind of what Kings fans are kind of hoping for as well. As we said, an elevated Blake Lizotte type role.
A top 6 Blake Lizotte.
Absolutely. And Fiala, we know what we're going to get from Fiala, right? I mean, if he could stay healthy, disciplined, and you don't need him to take a step. You know what you're going to get out of Fiala.
Yeah.
He is the dynamic player we needed him to be. It does hurt a little bit that it came at the expense of Brock Faber, who is, an absolute stud for Minnesota right now. But
incredible.
You make that deal at the time.
Because it's what the Kings were searching for. They wanted offense, and Kevin Fiala, amidst the untimely turnovers and penalties once in a while, creates offense.
What's your third line look like? And if we're aligned again,
no, I don't think we'll be aligned here. So I got Danault in the center.
Mm-hmm.
I got Trevor Moore, and I have Akil Thomas.
Whoa. Okay. Explain.
So I think that, obviously we made the Danault signing, which we didn't touch on too much.
I got something for you in a minute here.
Yeah, so we didn't touch on that too much, but I think Thomas really, really showed, his game last year in the brief opportunity that he got. I think that was enough to earn some more playing time, and I think that his play style is, fits in really well with Danault and Trevor Moore. So we'll see how training camp goes, but on paper, before any formal skates have happened, that's where I see it going. What do you got?
I agree. I would like to see a world where Akil Thomas gets the upgrade to the third line, but I do think I have Jeannot in his place. I agree with Danault and Moore. Jeannot line. I can hear the Kings fans already with how similar those two names are pronounced. But you did bring up Jeannot. I have him playing on the right side, which you could really flip-flop him and more, really. I don't really think that there's so much of a preference, but I maybe more flourishes more at the left wing. Kings acquired Tanner Jeannot from the Tampa Bay Lightning on June 29th in exchange for a fourth round pick in the draft and then a second round pick next year. This is a Tanner Jeannot that I'm not going to go as far as to say, because I think it's disrespectful, that he was a shell of himself last season, because he was significantly more of a presence when he was in Nashville. Not to say he can't be that guy again. I actually think he will be. But if you put him next to Danault and Moore, I think he'll flourish and be that third line guy that the Kings really need. And for that reason, I have him on the third line. And I really do like the way he plays. Do definitely see a world where he plays a big factor on LA. If the Kings do find a way to make it back into the postseason, and I ultimately do have them making it in as a wild card, he's going to be a big reason why. He's a little bit more sandpaper to that lineup.
Yeah, I do think. We'll talk about the fourth line first, and then I'll talk more about him.
Hit me.
So I got Turk in the center. I think you put Turk back in his natural position. You give him a real full-time NHL minutes, bearing that it will be on the fourth line, so it'll be significantly less than if it were anywhere else. But I think I have Turk out there. I got Tanner Jeannot on the side there with Trevor Lewis.
Yeah, I also have Trevor Lewis on the fourth line.
Yeah,
and
let's talk about that.
We can get into this a little bit. Trevor, I really, really do respect and love you. Big part of those those Stanley Cup runs and in between. Forever in his debt for what he did for the Kings in a time where the Kings were super fun to watch. I wholeheartedly, to my core, believe that this was a signing of passion, because he is 26 more games away from the 1,000 game club. And I don't think he was going to get that anywhere else. The Kings took him on a low deal, gave him a little bit of money. He did have 8 points last season, not justifying him playing every single game last year, but he's a veteran presence that can help these younger guys. And I'm looking at Turcotte and Thomas, who are also on my fourth line.
Okay.
Just to finalize that part. Because we do need to get to the defensemen, and I think we're going to be pretty much aligned here on this one, barring maybe one or two.
Yeah. Who do you got outside on your little forward healthy scratch lineup?
Well,
here?
There are rumblings, and somebody I'm really leaning on task here. Rumblings of Kaliev being re-signed to LA soon, if not already. He is my odd man out, not because I want him to be. I really, in a perfect world, would love to see Arthur Kaliev with Moore and Danault. And there is a world where Arthur Kaliev is on that third line and Jeannot gets bumped down if Lewis underperforms. Jeannot, Turcotte, Thomas is not a bad fourth line to have. But Arthur Kaliev is unfortunately not dressing on opening day in my lineup, not because I don't want him to, but simply because Trevor Lewis grandfathered in.
That's a good verbing there you got.
I'm trying to find if Arthur Kaliev is signed. I think he's still an RFA right now.
Yeah.
But the Kings won the game also in overtime.
Oh,
let's go
off the stick of Quinn Olson, who was a 5-year player at University of Minnesota Duluth. Just getting into his pro career right now.
There you go. We gotta win. We didn't jinx the game. What do you think about that?
Plan the parade, Jordan. It's coming. The kids.
Arthur Kaliev is unsigned too.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah. He's unsigned?
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Rumblings.
So you gotta.
Not sure where I saw it.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you see.
You forget about good old Sammy that we still got down there. Made his way back around.
Yeah,
Sammy Fagemo.
he could get a couple looks this year for sure. But he's one of those players, not to his fault. In the American, he looks like a force to be reckoned with. But when he
scored,
comes up,
didn't he score like the most goals like in the AHL last year, or it was like first or second?
Tass.
Oh gosh.
Samuel Fagemo. Fact check that one.
Uh,
But like you said, like I think he is you don't want to call him an AHL player, but
no.
he shines in the AHL. I don't think I could say the same with Arthur Kaliev. I don't think they used him appropriately when they did give him time.
You're right. Bang on. He was second in the AHL in goals with 43, one behind Adam Gaudette.
Yeah, there you go. So 40 plus goals in the A. You have a bona fide goal scorer. You got a shot. And when you have a shot, I think you have to put them in the position to shoot. And I don't think Kaliev, who's a sniper as well, really got the same, the shot that I would like to have seen him given. Power play time more power play time would have been nice. And the same with Sammy. I hope if he gets the opportunity that they use him where he has the most opportunity to showcase his skill set, which is goal scoring.
You know what I like about Sammy that I don't think a lot of people talk about right now. He's a right-handed shot. Look at that Kings lineup, and you look at me in the eye and tell me how many lefties are in that top 9. None. Actually, Laferriere. I apologize. Laferriere is a righty, but Laferriere is not a natural goal scorer. The way Kempe is. He's more of a
role player.
Yeah, he's a role player. Sammy has potential to do a lot of great things. He's a natural goal scorer. He puts the puck in the back of the net and plenty of times.
And it wasn't like he wasn't skating. Like you say, like, oh, the NHL is a two-way game. You have to play both sides of the ice. I think when I did see him out there, and I don't know, a handful of games, I think he was skating hard on both ends of the puck. And I think that I hope to see him get a real shot.
The problem is if Sammy does get an NHL call up, he's going to be playing on the fourth line. Yeah. He's probably not going to be getting too much ice time. That really hurts these guys' development. I mean, look at the way Kaliev was utilized or underutilized. One of the best options I thought the Kings had on the power play not being utilized to its fullest potential. Not his fault. And really, if you look at that power play and the way it took a step up from 22-23 to 23-24, kind of hard to put him in that position, right? Because the power play was so efficient and it looked good. There were flashes of brilliance from those two units.
It was a different power play. I mean, it wasn't really a Washington Capitals one-timer Alex Ovechkin type of power play. They used they used the bumper man, and the Kings like to do that. We saw it. You can go back to Gabe Velarde. They love that little bump play using the centerman and using that to open up ice. So I do think the way the Kings power play ran wasn't the best style for that. Just big cannon on one side.
Let's talk about defensemen.
Yep.
Tell me, give me your top 4.
Okay. Well, I got Drew Doughty with Mikey Anderson.
Same here.
And
let's move on.
Vladislav Gavrikov with Brent Clark.
I disagree.
I think I saw that coming.
I have Jordan Spence just because he has more time under his belt. I think he has a little bit more of a relationship with Gavrikov. Those two work together really well. Having Clark on the third line with Edmondson is not a bad idea because you kind of offset that stay-at-home defenseman with a more naturally offensive defenseman.
Yeah. I think that argument can be made with either of the two, Gavrikov and Joel Edmondson, though. Very defensive-minded guys.
Absolutely. But I think that Clark is more dynamic, and putting him next to Edmondson gives him more chances to take risks because Edmondson will be their stay-at-home defenseman that can bail him out. Kind of similar to how Doughty used to play when he was in his younger years, where he was high-flying. I mean, I think to that goal he had in 2012, game 1-2 against New Jersey. Coast to coast, just slicing and dicing through the neutral zone, walks in, rips one past Marty Brodeur. Fabulous stuff from number 8 in white. That's what Brant Clark, I think, is going to do. He's just a more dynamic offensive defenseman, and you put him with someone like Edmondson who's going to know his role, do what he has to do. But it's not a bad thing to have Clark on the third pairing.
Yeah. I think I could agree with you that like the season may start out that way, possibly, but I do think that Jordan Spence and Brant Clark, depending on how they each play, can be very interchangeable and that between that second and third D pair, and then we'll see how the power play ends up being.
What about your goalies, Jordan? Who do you got? Who do you got between the pipes, and who do you got on the bench with the nice ball cap?
We got I think the more expensive goalie starting in Darcy Kemper.
I agree.
And we got Big Save Dave backing up, in which he does very, very well.
I got Phoenix Copley backing up.
Really?
We don't really need to go into the depths with the backup goaltending, but I do have Copley. We just re-signed him. I do think Big Save Dave deserves to maybe be there, but I do think after the injury, and I do think with a strong preseason, I could very well see a world where Phoenix Copley is the backup goaltender for the LA Kings game 1. And it wouldn't hurt to have Portillo and Big Save Dave. I trust, based on what I've seen from Portillo, for him to be around a guy like Dave Riddick, who is a little bit more NHL proven, who kind of knows what it's like to kind of move their way up. I mean, obviously, Riddick, I thought, had a fabulous stint in Calgary. Statistically, that might not really back up my argument, but I do, when I think of Dave Riddick, I think of him in Calgary, and I do think that he was a problem there. But game 1, I have Copley in with the cap on the bench.
Interesting. All right.
Let's put this episode in some gift wrap and finish it up with a nice bow. The Kings open up preseason next Monday. They go up to the Delta Center to take on the team without a name, the Utah Hockey Club, September 23rd, to open up their preseason. I'm personally extremely excited to watch some Kings hockey. I'm sure details will be coming out soon if those games will be broadcasted, but next time you hear us, it will be right before. We'll be recording right before that game starts.
Hopefully not during.
Hopefully not during. And then we'll talk about it as the week goes on. And then 2 days later, they do go to Vegas to take on the Golden Knights before wrapping up the week on the 28th at the Toyota Center in Ontario, California, against the Anaheim Ducks. As a reminder for those at home, no preseason games at Crypto because of the renovations for the next 2 years, by the way.
No preseason games at all?
No preseason games at Crypto, or as how I call it,
Staples Center?
Staples Center. Yeah. So, preseason coming right around the corner, Jordan. What do you think of the Kings? Are they in a good place? Which of these rookies maybe get the call up to play that first preseason game? I mean, it probably won't be Hayden Hodgson.
Big hitter.
Knocking around Mark Stone.
Shout out Mark Stone.
But what do you think with preseason right around the corner, bud?
I'm hoping to see a lot of Sammy Fagemo out there. As you can tell, I'm a big supporter. I think there's a few D guys down there in Ontario. Who's the kid that we had come from Air Force at the end of the year there? I think he might have played in the rookie face-off.
Drake
Not
Usher?
sure. No, not our good buddy Drake.
Our old teammate that also played at Air Force.
Yeah, but they had a kid come from Air Force, defenseman. Apologize, I don't recall his name, but I do hope that he gets some time because I got to watch him down there in Ontario at the end of last year and during the playoffs. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really have anyone in particular that I'm keeping my eyes on, hoping to be out there. What about you? What do you got?
I'm just happy that the games are going to get going. Can't wait to watch. Yeah. I'm really not going into it with crazy expectations. I mean, they're preseason games for a reason. They're tune-ups. But I am excited all the same. Last thought, and then we'll wrap things up. Did you happen to see the scoreboard changes at Crypto? Did you see that they completely redid the scoreboard?
I did see like the little reveal video. I'm very curious to see how it's going to look in person.
I think it's going to look fabulous. And then the Kings social team, their content team, marvelous. Love black and white. Love all the things that they put out. I cannot wait to see what they put up on that screen. It's like a little 360. It's kind of like, I can't really compare it to anything really. I can't think of a stadium that has a.
Well, unfortunately, as Kings fans, and I know you're over there in Chicago, so it's not really apply to you, but we won't really get to see that scoreboard in action for quite a while here, as they're on the road for like the whole month of the first month of the season.
Right now, rumblings. I might be there for the first couple games of the season. We're finalizing details, and on that note,
Luke Rowe is the defenseman from the Air Force.
There you go. That's right.
The little voice in my head just went crazy. I was like, oh man, Luke Rowe.
5 years at Air Force, 3-year captain, only 5 games in. He's a bit on the older side though. He's 26.
Yeah, he's the oldest guy at that rookie camp.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of shot he gets. But yeah, so let me know when those reports become official of you being out here for the first couple of Kings games with the nice new jerseys, new scoreboard. Maybe you get yourself a new jersey before you come out here. Or?
I don't know, $400 for a Fanatics jersey.
Jerseys look great, man.
That is steep, brother. That is steep. But lot to look forward to in Kingsland. Lot to look forward to here on Forum Blues. Thank you so much for tuning into this first episode. As always, powered by the Alithio Network. On behalf of my partner, Jordan Bacani, I've been your guy, Rudy Hodgson. Come back next week. Grab a pint, sit down, listen to the boys, or if you're driving to work, tune in. Let's talk a little Kings hockey. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this first episode. We'll see you next week, and go Kings go.
Sweet.